Yes crew, this is your boy Zac Stanton and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about my story with tinnitus and how I got through it. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay guys, so back in 2018 I was studying my music production degree at university, and I was in the studio mastering a track. Walked into the studio, set the speakers up to a comfortable listening level, nothing too loud, didn't want to blast my lugs. And whilst I was making the track louder during the mastering process, I noticed that the sound was getting really loud and distorted. And I was thinking, what the hell is going on here? It wasn't, I was making the track louder, but everything was just so loud and distorted. And because I wanted to get a first in my module, in my mastering module, I was really sucked into the zone and really concentrating, And obviously I was concentrating for too long, and I thought, this is way too loud, and stopped the music anyway. And then shortly after, I got this fullness feeling in my right ear and a little bit of an ache, and then I heard the ringing. And what happened was I got this aching in my corner of my jaw there, and I thought to myself, when I heard the ring, I was thinking, oh my god, I've just gave myself tinnitus. So me thinking and being the big man I think I am, I was 26 at the time, I thought I was invincible. I went and played a gig at Stage and Radio in Manchester on the night, and I remember doing the gig, and I took over from the next DJ, and I turned down the headphones and the booth monitors, and then I gauged them both back up to a reasonable level. And I remember just playing the gig thinking, oh, this is dodgy, I shouldn't be doing this. But because I got a gig, I couldn't turn it down, It just wasn't in me to turn it down. And I thought, right, I finally got a gig, I need to play it, I need to do well, try and make a name for myself. So I left the club, and normally when you're in the club you get the that club ring after in your ears anyway, don't you? But when I woke up, it was still there, and I thought, right, it's happened then. I've given myself tinnitus in my right ear. Now, I went to the audiologist that day. I went to Boots, and I got my ear molds taken for some custom ACS Pros. So they did the hearing test, and I paid about, I think, £160, because they didn't know you could get them on the hearing musician scheme here in the UK, which I'll pop the link in the description below, that is. And everything came back fine anyway in terms of my hearing results. And he just said to me, he said, wear these when you get them and you'll be fine, don't worry, just practice safe sound levels. Don't worry about anything, you're still going to be able to DJ, you're still going to be able to produce music. But I thought to myself at the time, I can't believe this. I've worked these past 3 years at university writing thousands of words and so many essays. I was in my last year, and I was writing thousands of words a week, handing in maybe 2-3 assignments every week. And I just thought it was just all blown out the window. And I thought to myself, I've spent those 3 years in Ibiza as well, those 3 seasons, busting my backside off being a PR for Zoo Project and DJing and trying to achieve my dreams, DJing out there and trying to make a name for myself. And it's just all gone out the window. And same again, gone to college previously, doing a music technology diploma. That's just bang, flew out the window. And just getting into music from the age of 13 and playing Makina music and learned how to mix on 1210s and digging for records hours and hours. every week spending my £25 on from my paper round. I had 2 paper rounds and I got 25 quid or more, I think, for doing 2. And all those mornings, you know, getting up in the rain, the snow it just all went out the window. Okay guys, so what I want to talk about now is the beginning of when I got tinnitus. Now, it completely changed me as a person. It ripped my heart out and just tore me apart, really. I was this confident, chatty, outgoing guy. Like, I was a PR in a beef. It was my job to talk to people, and I really worked hard on myself out there. Being a yo-yo up and down, PR and the tourists, you know, I could speak to anyone. I would love just sparking up conversations with people. But what it did to me, it just took all that away from me. It really put me in a really dark place. And the mental aspect of it was so hard, because when you first get tinnitus, in the beginning, it's so intrusive. It's at the forefront of everything. All you can hear is the ringing, and you're like, I can't get away from it. And you have all these negative thoughts, and you start getting frustrated and anxious and panicking. And in turn, when that happens, the tinnitus starts getting louder. And my nervous system was just going absolutely crazy. So it really did make me into this, well, a bit of a cabbage, really. Like, I never really spoke to people, and the times that I did, all I spoke about to people was tinnitus, and I was just feeling sorry for myself. And you know what? I thought to myself, I need to get a grip and get back to how it used to be. I was in my last year of uni, and I was writing all these essays, so all I could hear was the tinnitus tone in my right ear. Luckily, it was only in the right side, but I found as the years went on, it's gone to my left. But if I stop talking about things and listen, I can hear it, but it's not intrusive anymore. It's really, really quiet, and it doesn't bother me at all. But I remember I was, I think, about a year and a half way through it all, and my brain started to habituate to it, I think it was. And what happens is, when you habituate to tinnitus, your brain puts the tone to the back of your mind, so you don't realise it's there anymore. And that was quite a relief. And I thought, yes, it's finally settled down. And I was reading a lot and researching a lot about it, the condition. And I noticed I had sensitivity to certain sounds. And I remember doors slamming would absolutely put me through the roof. I'd start getting angry. Whoever was slamming doors, I'd be telling them, listen, you need to stop doing that. It's going through me. And then again, the tinnitus was getting louder because I was getting more frustrated and angry, and it was really tough in terms of the emotional state and impact it was having on me. And even people banging cutlery, people banging plates around, and what the worst was dogs barking and sirens. I'd be walking down the street, and I'd just have to cover my ears, and I'd just be like, you know, and it was so tough, and it made me so miserable. But like I say, I thought to myself, right, I need to get a grip. I need to sort myself out here. So I went to my audiologist, and I said to him, I said, I think I have hyperacusis. And he said to me, you most likely have sound sensitivity at certain frequencies, because if you had hyperacusis, then you'd be wearing headphones and earplugs, and even just a knock on a tabletop like that would be like thunder to your ears. And I think with hyperacusis you get a lot of pain and like frustration, and it's all the same symptoms as tinnitus, but I've explained already. But it's just like thunder. It's thunderous. It's apparently it's absolutely awful. But I had certain sensitivity to certain frequencies. So what he told me to do was, I can't remember what the app he showed me, but it was an app with loads of different types of noises on there. So you can get white noise, pink noise, brown noise, blue noise. So he said to me, what you need to do is in your earphones, he said put the noise tone underneath your tinnitus tone, and just let it play in the background for so many hours a day. And I started doing it all day, every day, because I thought I need to get through this. This is absolutely ruining my life. And it's I can't remember what the app was called, let's say, but the good thing with the app was you could mix in rain audio of raindrops and forests and just atmospheric, audio files. So it was actually really, really nice and soothing and calming. So I started doing that, and I think what I used pink noise and white noise, a mixture of both, depending on how I felt on the day, and it just started to reintroduce me to sound again. And after a long, long time, I'm not really sure how long it took me to get over the sound sensitivity, but it was a lot longer than the tinnitus. And tinnitus stays with you forever. You've got it it's permanent. But when you habituate to it, it doesn't bother you anymore. And well, it definitely doesn't bother me, and I'm sure it doesn't bother many other people around the world as well that have it. So it was good when I got rid of the sound sensitivity, because that's how I was reintroduced to sound, and it was such a nice feeling. A massive weight was just lifted off me, and I was like, right, I'm back. I'm Zac Stanton again, Okay guys, so last but not least, I just want to talk about how I go about using earplugs for raving and DJing before I go into the club, and how I set my sound levels before I start producing and mixing and monitoring a track. So before I go into the club, I always put my earplugs in just so my ears can adjust, because some clubs, when you get in there, they're absolutely bouncing, and I've pulled out my decibel reader out sometimes, and yeah, quite sad. I've got a dB app on my phone. What a freak! And I've found that it's around 105 dB some DJ booths, sometimes 110. But the good thing is with wearing earplugs is it filters out the harsher frequencies. The filters are designed to do that, so you're only hearing the goodness, aren't you? And everything's really well balanced as well with earplugs. It's such a nice feeling as well, especially if you've got tinnitus, and maybe you might have hearing loss or some damage, and you want to feel comfortable raving. You've just got that nice security blanket, haven't you, really, over your ears. And you can just continue doing what you love doing and what you're passionate about. But I have been in some clubs where the sound systems, especially the top end, is just so piercing. And luckily for me, someone in my position, I've been able to rave there and rave safely with the earplugs in. So, but what I have found is one club that has an unbelievable sound system is Fabric London. When I went there once, I think it was Seb Zito was doing a garage night there, and Bernski was doing his Instinct Alias there. It was it was mint, and the sound system. I was listening to it, and I kind of stood at the back and listened to it just a little bit without my earplugs in, and it was just crystal clear. It just sounded beautiful. I felt like I was just floating through some clouds, you know. And so I put my earplugs back in and raved anyway. But when I'm DJing, I always turn down the booth monitors and the headphones and then scale them back up to a comfortable level, because I actually want to hear what I'm doing when I'm mixing in and out, and EQing when I'm playing. But when it comes to producing, I set my monitors, the sound level, to 60 dB, 60 to 65 dB, and that's the same as a human conversation, the loudness in terms of that. And I've spoke to many professionals and audiologists, and they've said, yeah, that's totally fine. And what I've found as well is when I mix that and make tunes at 60 dB, I don't get any ear fatigue, and I can balance and mix a lot better as well, because I never have my tunes blasting. Because how are you going to mix a track and balance a tune if and even just create one if it's absolutely bouncing? You can't mix a tune and balance and mix if you've got the tracks, if you've got your speakers blasting, can you? Especially when you're mixing, you want to be able to hear what you're affecting. If you've got to boost frequencies or remove some from the sound, you actually want to know what you're doing to the sound, don't you? Just before I go, I'll show you my earplugs. Here we go. Nice pouch there, ACS earplug there, and as you can see, there's the shape of my ear canal. Got a nice ZS there for some custom flavour. And there's the filter there, this silver bit, which you get a little rod. I don't know where mine is, but you get a little rod from ACS where you can pick the filters out and put different ones in if you want a little bit less of reduction, or if you want something like higher. And you've got the arm here, so you can just put them in comfortably and just give them a little wiggle around, and you're laughing. Now normally I have dry ears because the wax just goes through me, and earwax is good because it actually protects the inside of your ear canal. But if it's hard getting the earplugs in, which sometimes it is for me because my ear canals are always quite dry, you can put this gel on, which you get from ACS as well, and you can just go around the tip there and just gel them up, and they just slide in and get really comfortable in there. Because what I've found, if I don't put the gel on, I get earache in the side of my head, and get a bit of a headache up here, and it goes into my eye as well. So I always use the gel for some comfort there. And I've found when I use the gel, I've had them in all night, and I don't have any headaches or eye ache after. But just don't make sure you don't put too much on, because you'll feel them wobbling around and they might just pop out, slide out. You don't want that because they cost a bit of money. But if I haven't already mentioned, if you're making music in the industry, you can get them on the Hearing Musician Service. You get a grant for earplugs, hearing tests with a proper audiologist, and any checkups as well. And I think you can get use that money for other stuff as well, in terms of hearing problems. So that's about it, guys. That's just my story on tinnitus, how I got it and how I overcame things. I do still have it, and I'll always have it forever now, but it's very quiet and it doesn't bother me anymore, which is so nice. And as well, there's a website that I used to look on, I think it was called Tinnitus Talk. when I used to drive myself round the bend and a little box would come up and it would say, "Do you miss silence?" And I'd be sat there thinking, "Ah, yeah, bloody hell I do." But you know what? Right now I actually feel like I'm listening to silence because it's so quiet now. It's such a good feeling. But in terms of the app that I spoke about, which for the sound, for the noise, and mixing in some rainfall and atmospheric audio, it's you can get one called T minus, which is wicked. That was designed by a guy who has tinnitus and his life turned upside down because of it, and he still works in the studio. He's still a musician now, so I'll link that as well. Also, I'll link the Hearing Musicians link in the description and all. So guys, let's have a bit of a conversation and comment below who has tinnitus and how have you dealt with things, and let's just talk about it, man. Let's just create some awareness for tinnitus. And for those that don't have it, good for you. You're on a winner. Everyone, keep loving the tunes. Keep doing what you want to do. Stay passionate and keep living life. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Keep loving the tunes.